So in the circus, they are actually trained using punishment. So if you don't do it, you get punished. But whereas in amusement park, they're trained using reward. If you do it right, I will reward you. And I was fascinated, my God. In the corporate world, we use a terminology for these two things. What is it? Carrot and stick. And I said if you can make animals do amazing things with a positive reinforcement, there has to be applications of that in the corporate world. So that's where I really went to train animals using positive reinforcement and to prove that we could make them do anything that we want them to do using positive reinforcement, which we started applying in the organization after 5 years, called appreciative inquiry. So that's the stint with animals. Those days I used to write a column at the back of Economic Times called Dogs and Leadership. And I must tell you one before I start. This is about, I did some great work with a telecom client of mine, Airtel, and with the leadership team. When I came back, the HR head called me that time, said I need some help. And usually you do some great work with the client and the client calls you saying that I want more help. You're happy. And he said, wow, okay, they possibly want to do a huge level of intervention. And he said, but the help that I'm asking is not for Airtel. This is about training my dog. I said, all right. I would have told these dog stories to them before. And I said, tell me, how can I help you? He said, I have this 6-month-old Labrador, which is brilliant, which is pleasant, which is playful, which is excellent, intelligent. But can you train this man and make him more ferocious? So I thought for a while. Then I said, this is a classic case of wrong hiring. Now you hired the wrong guy, and you're now trying to fix him up with your competency framework. And this is it. And if a guy is changing 5 jobs in his lifetime, and if the organization try to fix him up with his competency framework, without nurturing and realizing who you are at a deeper level, which I call your authentic self, I find something fundamentally wrong. So that's where I then worked for the last 16 years. I run a consulting firm called OD Alternatives. We actually work in, if you can just put the next slide, in largely broadly in 4 areas. One is around culture change. We do both when in the merger times or when an organization feels that, I strongly believe that culture can eat strategy for breakfast, which is true. So how do you really look at culture and initiate a culture change intervention? And second is about leadership development. So I have a great insight about leadership development. So we studied large number of leadership development initiatives. And we found they're not leadership development initiatives, they're managerial effectiveness initiatives. And I'll tell you why. If you really look at the definition of leadership function and the management function, they're both different. While the management function want to have stability, order, sustainability, the leadership function want to create a new possibility which otherwise, without you taking action, will not be possible. And both are different. And both are required. Both are important. And the trick is to create a creative tension between these two. But when I looked at, largely in the name of leadership development, we were actually doing managerial effectiveness, which helps people to build order and build system and processes so that the status quo or the stability can be maintained. So we really look at how could you break that and help people to create a new possibility which otherwise couldn't have been possible. We also work with individuals on a one-on-one coaching because we felt that helping people to understand their authentic self, the gift and the natural talents and expanding them to reach their life purpose is the best job one could do. And that's really a going in process. So it's not about, a friend of mine recently told me, what kind of coaching do you do, Santhosh? Because when I was working with the GE, somebody gave me a coach, and after that, I felt I have 2 bosses. Because the coach is also sitting on your head and telling you, I said, I don't do that. I only support an individual or a CEO or a leader in what he wants to do because I'm not an expert on any of the struggles that he is going through. And he is an expert or he can get experts. And I'm only interested in the inside of him, the being of him. So we also work largely in the area of organization transformation. For 11 years, we actually partner with one of the big strategic consulting firms in the world. When they did that, we actually went and built the leadership capability and culture building. So that's a quick overall thing. But I'm going to talk today about one of my recent favorite topic, which is mindfulness. Today, there's a big HR conference happening in Delhi. And when I went into Twitter in the morning, all those people who are attending the conference are on Twitter tweeting what's going on in the room. So my question is, are we here? Have we lost our ability to be in one place and being at a deeper space? Somewhere we lost the whole idea of multitasking. The real meaning of multitasking is your ability to do multiple things at multiple times, not at the same time. That's the confusion we have. Because you should be able to multitask. At one moment you are doing a strategic job, the second moment you're doing a supportive role, and the third moment you're doing an analytic job. We should be able to play multiple roles. So the thought process, more and more I meet leaders, my challenge is, today's connected world, where we could reach out and connect with everybody, have you lost connection with the self? And how important it is for innovation to occur. Think about all great innovations in the world. It didn't happen when your brain was going all over. It happened when the individual was able to go into a deeper space. Where was Archimedes when he shouted and jumped up? In the bathtub, right? The whole day he was trying hard, it didn't come up. And bathtub, by the way, it's a great place for reflection. You know, you're with yourself and you're cut off. You possibly won't tweet from bathtub, and I'm sure some of them would do. But it is connected, and suddenly all the innovation and the great ideas emerge from a space which I call already knowing. There's a space in each one of us. Where was Newton when he actually suddenly got the whole insight about theory of gravity? Under the apple tree. If Newton was born in the place where I was born, he would be sitting under a coconut tree. And I'm sure after coconut falling on his head, he wouldn't be here to talk about theory of gravity. And I strongly believe that Kerala had many Newtons, all died possibly. It's an extremely intelligent state, and I'm sure he had a lot of Newtons, but they died. Einstein was dreaming on a beach what would happen if he traveled with the velocity of light, and in his dreams he felt he will lose mass. And that's how the whole theory. So there is a point in the whole book called Leadership Online when he explained technical and adaptive challenges. Most of the challenges today's leaders face are adaptive challenges, not technical challenges. The difference is, technical challenge means there is an SOP, somebody has solved it, there are processes, you can learn the step by step. How to do a bypass surgery, there are steps, and you do it again and again, you become an expert on it. An adaptive challenge is a challenge where you and I don't have an answer currently, but we are struggling with that. And to get insights about an adaptive challenge, we go to change the level of our consciousness. You can't change the level of your consciousness by you being all over. And the only way is to go inside. So if you are looking at solving an adaptive challenge, you got to have an ability to go deeper. And it's not a rocket science. We don't need a lot of professors going to China to do a study and come back and say meditation is useful. We know that it is useful. The question is, can I go to that space? Can I do that? So recently I've been actually doing a lot of work around how to develop this. And it's not just in India. In San Francisco, there is a conference called Wisdom 2.0 conference, which attracts around 2,000 people from Facebook to Google. And they actually talk about how to bring mindfulness into the organization. And in fact, we're doing a retreat with a large number of CEOs coming together. So I'm going to quickly take you through that session and talk about some of my favorite topic, which is how altered states of consciousness is connected with mindfulness. You know, ever heard about altered states of consciousness? Interesting. So we'll get into that. That's the last part. And I used to, one thing that Amit didn't mention, one of the part in the last 25 years, one of the things I do when I go to big groups like this, I hypnotize people. And that's an altered state of consciousness. And the only problem with the hypnosis is it works only with intelligent people. So, I'm sure we have here. So, at the end, I would like to invite a couple of people who are intelligent to experience hypnosis. So, that's how we will end the session. So, get ready for a ride. So, we'll quickly talk about concepts of mindfulness, get straight into altered states of consciousness, and experience hypnosis. The quick theoretical part. So, it's a very simple thing. We see what is not there based on who you are. We don't see what is there based on the space that we come from. We hear what we choose to listen to. True. And we don't hear what we don't attend to. Very simple. But imagine if we need to experience, it's like imagine that radio waves are passing through this room. You don't hear it because to hear that, you go to have a machine that is tuned to that. So if our body is not tuned, how do we get ideas? How do we attract those ideas? How do we attract those insights? And we are not tuned to because our mind is not there. So it's important. So I'm just proving my point. This is how it works. And I wanted to show you a quick thing about the human brain. So we all know this is a longitudinal cross section of the human brain. And the top neo-mammalian is what we use more your rational brain. What's going to happen? What will happen here? The whole logical thinking. Just below that, what we call a mammalian brain is where most of your emotions are there, which is there in mammals. So this brain was developed in the mammal time. Even below that, we all have a brain called the reptilian brain, which works with the stimulus and response, no emotions. I kept a pet snake for 2 years at home. So unlike my dogs, when I come home, my snake is not going to wag its tail to demonstrate its affection because he's going to work with the stimulus and response. Is a stimulus? I respond to that. And that brain we still have, which is a core. Most altered states, what it does is it bypasses your critical conscious brain and goes straight into the reptilian brain to make changes. That's why many a time auto-suggestion doesn't work. You can go, a lot of people talk about auto-suggestion, you stand in front of a mirror and look at the mirror, take 3 deeps and tell yourself, I'm handsome or I'm beautiful, I'm powerful, I have confidence. The problem what it doesn't work is, the moment you say that, there is another voice. Who are you fooling, man? That's coming from your conscious brain. That guy will not allow this suggestion to go in because of your existing beliefs about who the hell you are. So you need to have a methodology, and that's why traditionally all societies use something. Sometimes it was music, otherwise it was drugs, to go into a state. So I come from Kerala, so we have this ritual where they actually get into an altered state and predict the weather and how the crops will be there for the next season. And the idea is the knowledge is available, we are not able to tap it, but if we go into an altered state, there could be a possibility of having that knowledge. So that's the scientific process of how the brain works in this way. Yeah. This is an interesting thing. So read from here. Performance is equal to potential minus interference. Performance is equal to potential minus interference. Where does interference come from? Inside. And this is not me saying, this is the guy who was coaching tennis students in Harvard. He came Tim Galway came with this theory that I have to coach them to reduce their interference and then they will become better players. And the whole theory was when you are playing a game, you are playing with the 2 people, one is the opponent and the other one is yourself. And most players know how to deal with the opponent, but what we don't know is how to deal with self. So performance is equal to potential minus interference, and our interference come from our own mental models and beliefs which are there in the conscious level, which do not allow new information to go in. And that's a challenge that we face. Move. This is a study which says that you will find two kinds of people. People with high energy, energy has gone below the chair, the word is energy there. So people with a high energy, this study is by Sumandra Ghoshal. So Sumandra Ghoshal found that you will find a lot of people who have high energy and low focus. They are all over. And you will also find people with a high focus and low energy. They can't go and do things, extremely focused. But he said when you integrate your brain and mind, you could become high energy and high focus that become purposeful on the top. So how do we really build a bunch of people and ourselves to take purposeful action? Because all the organizations that I work with, there's a lot of activity going on. Everyone is busy and there is high energy and activity. But is it purposeful action is the question. And with a lot of research organizations and other part of the organization that I work with, I find a lot of people with a great focus, but has no energy to take that idea into the next level. So how do you integrate? So that's also important to really see, to inculcate a mindfulness so that you could leverage your energy and leverage the focus and be purposeful. This is a study which Otto Scharmer is doing in MIT on mindfulness. So what Otto Scharmer come up, so I do some work with Otto on this. So what it says that at a top level, when we are all over, we do reactions, quick fix. We hear something, we react immediately. Don't you all felt your reactive mind at times? Some stimulus come up and we immediately react and we keep reacting. But if you go slightly deeper down, we need to look at redesigning some of the way we work. So if somebody says that you're overweight, you can just completely react and say that I need to do something. Or at a deeper level, you could say that I may have to change my diet, I may have to change my lifestyle, which is slightly more deeper down. And if you go even deeper down, you got to do reframing of your values and beliefs. I was working with somebody who said that I have to go and socialize and eat with the people because that's how I build my business. And when I eat like that and socialize that, I put on weight. Now, there is a fundamental assumption. So at that point of time, we may have to really look at what are the fundamental assumptions and beliefs which I may have to reframe. And if you go even more deeper, is a space with Otto Scharmer and his colleague initially when they worked on it, who was the managing director of a consulting firm in New York called Generon. They called that space called the source. Then you go down into the source, which we in Eastern philosophy talk about the space that know it. There's a deeper space within you. And from there, you make the change, then you are taking action. This is the anatomy of an innovation, by the way. Any important innovative ideas go through this structure. This is called the U theory or a U concept. And then you take action at this end. So you collect stuff, go deeper into the source, connect, create an insight, come out and take action. So this also talks about, so your theory talks about the importance of being mindful and going inside for you to come up and take action that way. Yeah. Which is an extension. So I could send these slides to anyone who is interested. If you just write to me, I will share my email ID at the end of the day. I usually never use PowerPoint presentation because first time I used it around 16 years ago, people came back and said, send me the presentation. Then I realized that they were not there in the room. So because it also gives you the idea that I can get this presentation so I don't have to be there. So today I thought I have less time, but it's good to put some bullet points. So I possibly would be using a PowerPoint presentation after 15 years. But I thought this could be useful, and Amit would be wondering, why am I up there with a PPT this time? And I always tell my friends in the organization, when organization want to reach out to massive number of people, you use a story and you create an advertisement with a story to reach out to people, because stories connect. But when you wanted to percolate your strategy inside an organization, you use a PowerPoint. That's why nobody knows what's going on. Because you got to have a story. You got to have a story. I worked with a 4.5 billion pharma company last year, and I asked 500 people when I went around the globe, what's your 3-year aspiration? Only 60% of them could tell me this is a number that we are chasing. And this 50% who said this is a number we are chasing, I asked my second question, why that number? They didn't know. Because that story and the purpose is not there. They have seen the PowerPoint and they know it is accessible, but there's no story we want into it. Human mind absorbs stories. So I always say that if you put a story into the TV, put a story in your organization, the same story than a PowerPoint. So I'll send this to you. Yeah. I want you to do this technique. This is what I call the power of a context. I'll give you a prize if you do this, and if you're doing this for the first time. In Army, there is a terminology called PCK. PCK means previous course knowledge. So if there are any PCKs here, if you're trying it for the first time, the task is this: read this paragraph and tell me what it is. You get a prize. Santhosh prize. So. Anyone? Yes, please. Collage. Solace, comfort, brilliant try. Not that. Contemplation, brilliant. Concentration, fantastic, even more better. But that's not the one, this one. Huh? Who is that? Show me. You're right, very close by. Expand that. Yes? No, he already got it, so let me explain. Let me help all of you. Put a heading there, and the heading is kite flying. You know kite, K-I-T, kite, flying. Put the heading and read it again. Kite flying. Does it make sense now? Yep. Every sentence. The first seemingly unconnected sentences now make perfect sense. Every sentence, yes. Kite flying. It's flying. 10 minutes more? Okay. Yeah. So this is called the power of context. So we got to, anything purposefully if you wanted to do it, you got to be clear about the context, then everything that you do fall in place. That's it. So let's get into, so the last slide anyway is called the altered states. Skip this one. So then let me talk about this and invite you. Yep. What did he say? Yep. So I just wanted to stick with the time. One of the things, when you talk about hypnosis or an altered state, everybody has all the misconception. The first thing comes up is, you know, the guy with the pendulum. And there are crazy stories, and which we believe. You know, one of the stories is a mass hypnotist in London was standing with a pendulum in front of 1,000 people, and he said, as you watch this pendulum moving slowly, your eyes are closing down and down and down, going into a deep sleep, and this pendulum fell down. And he said, oh shit. And it took 3 days for them to clean up the auditorium. That's a story. It can never happen. Just don't think about it. These are crazy stories, people. When I lived in Kentucky for a while, and actually lived in a log hut inside a forest in Kentucky. This is a story that I heard. So in US, most of the cities that you have a large number of hypnotherapists. And so you have one called a stage hypnotist and a hypnotherapist. And this story is about a couple who felt in the middle age, the passion in the bedroom is less. And there was a hypnotist who was advising that and advertising that he can increase that. So they discussed, and the husband went to meet the hypnotist, and when after a couple of sessions, this guy is changed. He's like now 20 years younger, So they were wondering what the magic this hypnotist did. So the wife asked, what did you say? He said, no, he asked me to practice every day. I have to actually put myself into a trance in front of a mirror. I have to give some suggestions, which he had already told. So the wife asked, what are those suggestions? He said, I can't tell you. You know, so if you ever tell your wife something that I can't tell you, that becomes a life purpose to find that out now. So the next day morning when he went and he was in front of the mirror and trying to put him into a hypnotic trance, she slowly went behind to see. And she overheard this guy looking in the mirror and saying, she's not my wife, she's not my wife. That's again a story. So don't believe any of these stories. So hypnosis is a purely scientific process. All of you who are sitting here have been hypnotized, not by your spouses, but actually, if you have ever cried watching a movie, I do all the time. You've been hypnotized. I love watching right movies. That makes me cry. So, because logically you know that, you're not that. If you've gone for a long drive and lost track of time and you only realize when you reach there, you've been hypnotized. If you wanted to wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock and you put an alarm on, you told somebody else to wake you up and you woke up at 4:59, you've been under trance. So this is something that we experience on a day-to-day basis. It is simple. It helps you to just drop deeper into a deep level. So I'm going to quickly demonstrate that to you. Two conditions. One, I have no cable from my brain to your brain. It's your brain. And you go to do it. Because if somebody says that, oh man, this guy will, okay, so let me see. That doesn't work. It is you who is experiencing, and you got to be lucky because I'm not billing you for that. Because otherwise, if you go to a hypnotist to get you into the trance and he is going to charge you $500, which I am not, but you got to, it's your ability to go. Nobody can enter your brain. It's you. So that's the first thing. People who can take accountability and ownership are the only people who can get into a trance. And accountability, ownership of getting into a trance. So the more you want it, the better. Second, you got to allow my suggestions to pass into your brain with open listening and just doing what I ask you to do. Two simple things. Can we do that? Yep. Only for 40 seconds. After that, you don't listen to anything that I say. Because I can't ask this unconditionally that you go to listen to what I say. This is just for the exercise. 40 minutes after that, you say that this guy is all bullshit, which is okay. 40 seconds, hold your hands in this way. Very good. Yeah. Take a deep breath. As you breathe out, just extend this slightly, make it stronger, and take one more deep breath. And as you breathe out, close your eyes. And pay attention to my voice. Shift your focus to the muscles of your palms. Feel how your fingers are interlocked. Bring them closer and closer and tighter and tighter. Imagine that you're really locking both your palms together with the most powerful glue possible. And squeeze them. Feel that every cell of your left inside palm is in touch with another cell of your right inside palm. As you squeeze them and bring them closer and closer and tighter, and imagine that you're locking them in a way that even you will not be able to take it out because you're locking them into one single organ in your body. Bring them closer and closer and tighter, let it happen automatically, and tighter, squeezing in, and as you convince yourself that, believe that you're really locked it so powerfully, brilliant. And at this point of time, because you have locked it so powerfully, it will be surprising to see the harder you try to take them out, the more difficult it becomes because you have locked it so powerfully. At this stage, you would notice that the harder you try to take them out, the more difficult it becomes because you have locked it so powerfully. Try harder to take it out. The harder you try, more difficult it becomes because you have locked it so powerfully. The harder you try, more difficult it becomes because you have locked it so powerfully. The harder you try, the more difficult it becomes because you have locked it so powerfully. Take a deep breath now. And slowly allow the hands to come out. And let the hands come out slowly. Yeah, allowing your hands to slowly come out. So this is a quick example of an altered state. And we don't have to go and do any of those things, because for a second, we bypassed your critical conscious mind. And the suggestion went into the reticular activating system or the reptilian brain, which takes stimulus and response. And the stimulus was the hand is stuck, and you have taken it. And the response is it's not coming out at that point of time. As simple as that. So now I have another 5 minutes. I would like 1 or 2 volunteers who now felt this and wanted to go quickly in 2-3 minutes, a slightly deeper trance. May have to come up. There is, please. Anybody else wants to? Yep. And particularly, I would prefer if you have done this experience, if that happened with you. Yeah, please. You could sit here, though I never thought I would use these chairs for this, but nonetheless, you could sit here, please. Come up faster. Sit and relax. These guys are talking. Somebody in the back. Is it? Somebody is talking in the back. Yeah, anyway. Did you all, you can come see. Did you all experience when you did that? It was, did you experience it? So that's the only prerequisite. Do you experience that? Yeah, that time? Good. Sit comfortably with both the feet touching on the ground. The last time when I said this, sit comfortably with both the feet touching on the ground, some people were removing the shoes. So sometimes communication can be, so it is, right. So this time it's going to be easy. I'll be actually talking to them for a couple of minutes. So if you hear me, which is okay, and if you don't hear, it's okay, because I'll be just talking to them slow, and it's just going to be a couple of minutes. So one way, if I stand here, I can talk to all of you. You wanted to remove your specs. It's easy because you're not going to watch. I can put it here. Keep your eyes closed. Take 3 deep breaths and hearing my voice. And as you do that, slowly shift your focus to the muscles of your eyes, hearing my voice. And when you shift the focus to the muscles of your eyes, feel that the muscles of your eyelids could become heavier and heavier. And the more you hear my voice, go ahead and relax the muscles of your eyes to an extent that you feel they are so heavy, so powerfully heavy. Fantastic. Now that when you pay attention to my voice and also be aware of the muscles of your eyes, as I said last time, I have no cable from my brain to your brain, but your brain could listen to you. And the muscles of your eyes are voluntary muscles which you can easily relax. And as you relax them even more, you would notice that the muscles of your eyes are completely heavy to an extent that they are so heavy, and that muscles will not work. And then you know that you have done a great job. So when you realize that the muscles of your eyes are so heavy, so powerfully heavy, then you will know that they are so completely relaxed and heavier. That's wonderful. And we can actually give it a test, and you know that you have done a great job. When the more you try to open your eyes, the more difficult that becomes, then you know that you have done a great job. So let's give it a test and see that the harder you try to open your eyes, the more difficult that becomes, because you have found it is a great. The harder you try to open your eyes, the more difficult it becomes. When I touch your forehead, which allows you to go into a deeper state of a level of relaxation, the harder you try to open your eyes, the more difficult it becomes. Now you don't have to try. The harder you try to open your eyes, the more difficult it becomes. Try harder. The harder you try, the more difficult it becomes. That's wonderful. Now stop trying and go into a deep trance. That's beautiful. The harder you try to open your eyes, the more difficult it becomes. Try harder. The more difficult it becomes. Now allow yourself to go deeper. You don't have to try. That's wonderful. All of you now send a wave of relaxation from the muscles of your eyes till your feet, allowing yourself to go into a much deeper level of trance. I'm going to count from 5 back to 1. At the count of 1, you'll find yourself in a very, very deep level of altered state of consciousness, hearing only my voice. 5. Go 1 more step down, deeper, even more deeper. 4. Allow yourself to go a little bit more deeper into a beautiful state of deep relaxation and a trance. Throughout, you will hear my voice. The more you hear my voice, the more deep that you will continue going, and you feel this state so wonderful, great, and feeling fantastic. 2, as you continue going even more deeper, you could feel that it's so easy. You can actually drop down into a beautiful space, And the more you hear my voice, and each time when you breathe out, allow yourself to go even more deeper. Now you will hear me only when I touch your forehead. Others don't have to hear me. So when I touch your forehead, you'll be able to hear me and do exactly what I ask you to do. 1, more deeper, deep into a trance. Anytime when I count from 1 to 3, you could open your eyes. When I count from 3 back to 1, your eyes will close and you will go into a trance which is 10 times deeper than what you are experiencing right now. I'm only testing this with people whom I am touching the forehead. Others don't have to hear me. Beautiful. 1, 2, 3. Eyes opening. Begin watching. 3, 2, 1. Eyes closing. And going into a very, very deep trance. Deep trance, deep trance. 10 times more deeper than what you're experiencing. Brilliant. I'm going to help you stand up in a deep trance. I'll hold your hand, let your body come up in the deep trance slowly. And when you do that, allow yourself to go even more deeper. I want you to walk 2 steps forward. A little bit more in a deep trance. A little bit more. Others continue going into a deep trance. I want you to turn around this way and sit at a chair, which I've kept a little bit here. Yeah. Fantastic. You're doing very well. And let me do the whole job. I'm going to count again 3 back to 1. At the count of 1, you'll be in a very deep trance, much deeper than what you have ever experienced. 3, sleep. 2, going deeper. 1, sleep. Once you are here, completely hearing my voice, and the more you hear my voice, the more deep that you could go. And let me do the whole job. I'm going to lift your leg and put it up here. Put it both. Yeah, that's right. You're doing very well. You could just adjust it in this way. That's right. This is not an ordinary trance. I have put you into a hypnotic trance. This time, you have access to your deeper potential and a deeper space within you that has more power than you ever thought. So I'm going to say 3 times the word stiff. Each time when I say the word stiff, I want you to make the muscles of your body so stiff and strong like a metallic bridge. When I say the first time, the whole muscles of your joints, including the fingertips, will become so stiff like a rock. When I say second time, the whole joints will be very strong and stiff. When I say third time, the center portion of your body will go back because your body would have become like a metallic bridge connected only at 2 ends without any support in the middle. Your body will go up. You're beginning to do that. Stiff. Brilliant. So powerful. Stiff. Very good. And stiff. 3. Your body has much more power than you ever thought. And at this stage, you're able to access this power. And all of us have this ability to access this power. And this stage, the more weight comes on your body, the stronger that you become. The more weight comes on your body, the stronger that you become because you're so powerful inside. The potential that we have is something that we can't tap just with our consciousness, but we got to go possibly to a deeper level. Relax, relax, and relax. Continue relaxing even more deeper. Good. Now I'm touching your forehead so you could hear me. Now onwards, whatever I say, you could just hear me completely. I'm going to count from 1 to 5. At the count of 5, you could open your eyes, feeling really fresh, energetic, and much, much better than before. After that, in future, whenever you would like me to hypnotize you, all I have to do is to look into your eyes and count from 3 back to 1, and you will go into a deep trance. Let's come back now. 1, bring your awareness back into the room. 2, bring your awareness back into the body. 3, bring your awareness back into your breath. At the count of 5, you could open your eyes, feeling really fresh, energetic, and much, much better than before. You would feel that it was a fantastic experience. 4 and 5. Gently allow your eyes to come back into the room, and whenever you're ready. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure you will have a lot of questions to him, which you can ask him in the break. What's your name?
Ram and Kumar.
I've heard this. Have you ever connected before?
Yes.
I know. Where? In the social media?
Yes.
So correct. Yes, I remember that. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. So that's it. So I wanted to take back 3 things. 1, connecting parallelly to all over the world is useful. Think about a T shape. We also need to go deep. 1. Second, we all need to create some practices for ourselves. For one, it could be walking in the beach, one could be walking in the morning, meditating, praying, whatever. It's called the balcony and the dance floor. If you're all the time in the dance floor, you're not effective. You got to find out what's your balcony time, which is. And the biggest change in leadership is understanding self and personal transformation. And that happens when you're able to go a little bit deep about yourself. Thank you so much, and I had a great time. So if you want to be in touch, if you have questions, because the best way to reach out to me in an email, and an email you don't even have to write it down, you will remember it because it's a hypnotic suggestion. It is hypnobaba@gmail.com. HYPNOBABA, because I look like a one, at gmail.com. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Santhosh. Thanks a lot. So I think this was absolutely stunning. What you experienced today was absolutely great, and I think you've not really seen it for so many times, and I thought this is a... in fact, quite interestingly, I must share that I'm a trained hypnotist and I was trained by him. So if anybody wants to do it, I can actually do it for you as well, but it was thanks to him. Thanks a lot, Santhosh, for being here. It was such a great event. I think he deserves a standing ovation today, please. I think so. Thank you.